And thank you for the kind introduction. It's really interesting when I think about myself. I am a career educator. I've been in higher education for 25 years. You don't typically think about education institutions as being particularly innovative, do you? Does anybody think of educational institutions being particularly innovative? But I have the distinct pleasure of operating Northeastern University's Charlotte campus here, where we are particularly innovative. And that comes from a core and a DNA from our campus in Boston, where we started out as a working man's college, where in order to pay tuition from semester to semester, students needed to find jobs. And we found 100 years later that that was a pretty cool way to go to school, is if you could learn something and then apply your learning and then go back to school and then apply your learning in another setting. And oh, by the way, you might end up with a really cool resume at the end of the day because you were outpacing your colleagues who were sitting in colleges just doing academic theory all the time. So the university was very innovative in coming here to Charlotte, and we brought master's degree programs. We are a purely graduate campus, with the exception of this boot camp that I want to tell you a little bit more about, because we started hearing from the local employers in the area that there was this huge trend in analytics. And I know that the reason you're here today is because you've heard that, right? It's been going on for probably 5 or 6 years in our community. First it started with big data, and everybody was like, what's big data? And then it's kind of slowly moved down the spectrum. So I thought today I would talk a little bit about the demand for data analytics. I want to start with kind of some context setting around the difference between data analytics and data science, because it's an important distinction, particularly when you're thinking about the workforce and what companies are demanding. And then I want to tell you a little bit about the boot camp that we are running now, because it's kind of fun and kind of unique. I'm going to preface all of that by saying I do not have a technology background. I am a technology immigrant. I learned on my first PC when I was in college, or I guess it was probably high school at that point. And so don't ask me hard questions, because I probably can't answer them. Other people in the audience probably can answer the hard questions better than I can. But I'll give you the perspective from a market standpoint of what we hear from employers and where the demand is going. So allow me to see if I can figure this out. So what is data analytics? I'm sure if I ask by show of hands, a lot of you put your hands up. Who's going to define data analytics for me? Come on, I'm a teacher. I need some audience participation, and in the front row is going to get called on if nobody else. Anybody want to throw a guess at data analytics? Sarah?
Okay, it's the use of tools, and it's basically utilizing different types of technology and tools to break down large sets of data into easily readable and easily like segments of data to, I guess, I don't want to say analyze, because analytics in there, but digestible, I guess, segments of data to piece out what's important, what's not important, and to make informative decisions.
Exactly. It's, for me, in one word, it's insights. And I picked on Sarah because she happened to come and speak to our students who were participating in the boot camp. She works at Grant Thornton across the street from us, and I recognized her and I knew she could answer the questions. So the rest of you have been spared for this moment in time. It's really about taking a large volume of data. The graphic that's probably a little blurry is taking a large amount of data and turning it into something useful. And the reason I picked this graphic is because of the arrows at the end. There's a yellow arrow there that says drive decisions. It's really about decision making. And then the last yellow icons there, I hope are really familiar, because it's really why people use data analytics. It's to drive revenue, right? It's either to drive sales for a company, it's to improve their bottom line because they're using analytics to improve their business flow or their process. So it's really about an end result, but it's using insights to get to that end result. So I often am asked the question, what's the difference between data science and data analytics? And this one is a nice slide, because it's basically that analytics are around knowing what we know, and we know there's a universe of information out there. But then data science is really about stuff we don't yet know about. So it's really more of the hard sciences. This next slide is probably an easier way. I decided I would coin a new phrase, to know or not to know, when we were thinking about the difference between data analytics and data science. Analytics is really around interpreting the data and using it for some sort of predictive relationship. So Consumer behavior is a great example of data analytics, right? Why do you see a Starbucks show up on a corner where you wish there was a Starbucks? They would have shown up because they're using analytics to predict consumer behavior, and they're going to say, we can predict that consumer A probably wants a Starbucks on this corner, and so then they'll go build a Starbucks there. Data science is really more around summarizing the data and using it in forecasting. So I think about that more. It's probably not a fair comparison, but I think about economists a lot. They have absolutely no way of predicting and forecasting what the market's going to do, but they will tell you that they do, right? And you'll go to forecast sessions and presentations because everyone wants to get kind of a glimpse into what we think is going to happen in the future. So that's kind of my way of breaking down the difference between the two. There are a lot of similarities in the skill set that overlap between data science and data analytics. And you'll see in there probably a lot of familiar terms in there, Java, SPSS, SAS, Tableau, what's another one, R. In analytics, it's really around the consumer side in many ways because you see a lot of marketing functions listed on the analytics side, whereas the science side is really more language-based. Make sense? So I have at least kind of a context for where we're going. So where is the demand for workers? For those of you who are on the phone, I understand we've got somebody listening from California. I feel very popular now. And those of you who may not be able to see over here, this chart over here is job postings that require both data science and data analytics skills. And this was taken from May of 2011, which about 4 or 5 years ago now, I guess, until April of last year. And you can see the red line on the bottom is data science jobs, which have grown from a mere 167 to a little over 8,000 jobs requiring those skills. Whereas the analytics skills started at about 28,000 and has boomed to over 53,000 jobs now that currently require analytics skills. So where's the demand? The demand is really on the analytics side. And why is that? Because if you survey companies, you will hear their CEOs and their leadership say, 3/4 of them say that they're looking to improve their business performance. They're looking how to work smarter, not harder. They want insights into their existing consumer base. They want insights into a potential new market. They want insights on how people are using websites so that they can drive their keyword searches, so they can drive their marketing buys. They're looking at behavioral patterns, and they know that they're going to use data analytics in some way, shape, or form, so they're starting to predict out that these are where the jobs will be. So at the bottom down here, I don't know if this side can see it, 60% of companies are using it to boost social media marketing. 45% want more precise business insights. Almost 40% looking to increase sales or market share or new markets. But in the aggregate, 96% of companies believe that this will become more important in their organization in the next 3 years. So it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that if you're looking at a new career, if you have children that are thinking about careers, if you're looking to move ahead, this is probably a pretty hot field to be looking into right now because it's where the jobs will be. And the job opportunities aren't limited to one particular industry. The top of this slide says the job opportunities are industry agnostic. It means they don't care what your religion is, they don't care what industry you are. All industries use analytics. And I'll get into that a little bit more. It doesn't look as prominent on this graph because there's some small numbers, but think about all of these industries are prevalent in Charlotte right now. Banking is huge. 43% of banking jobs right now have some focus on analytics. It's really telling, isn't it? Technology, manufacturing, engineering, the consumer products area, and then healthcare is becoming more and more driven through analytics. Healthcare professionals they started with electronic medical records, and now they're saying, now how can we become even more insightful into consumer care? So now you're starting to see things like personal health informatics and personal devices that are allowing people to monitor their own health to then become active participants in the healthcare system. So it's really fascinating to see how the opportunities scale across different industries. And I could have gone on, but the important thing is it's really agnostic across the various sectors. This to me is a really telling slide. It talks about the workforce shortage right now. By 2018, so 2 years from now, we will have a workforce shortage just in the United States for 1.5 million workers who have to have some sort of background or expertise in analytics. That's huge. Do you realize how huge that is? That over 1.5 million people need some analytics. So when we start thinking about educating the next generation of workforce, this is really important in K-12. This is important at a community college level. This is important at a college level. This is important for workforce development and continuous professional development for employees. Because my guess is that all of you or most of you in here are employed. Yes, right? My guess is that you probably don't want to go back to school. It's not on the top of your list necessarily, but you want your employer to provide some sort of opportunity for you to get continuous learning and improvement. And this is a great field for us to be thinking about that. Last year alone, there were almost 500,000 jobs that required data analytic and data science skills required. Almost 500,000 jobs. And according to a number of CEOs, a lot of businesses believe that right now this makes up about 1/10 of their workforce population, that it will grow to 1/3 in the next 5 years. So booming now, and it will be here to stay. Some of the roles that we pulled when you're looking at monster.com or Indeed or wherever, looking at the different job postings that are available, all of them probably have the title analyst in them, but they're not all going to say data analyst. They might say business analyst. They might say marketing analyst. They might say financial analyst. They might say something doesn't even include the word analyst in it, like a director of marketing. Who would have thought a director of marketing, a CMO, is going to need to have real business intelligence to drive marketing decisions, because you want to know where you're going to place your dollars for your consumers to best find you. And my guess is you have constraints on your resources, right? None of us have unlimited resources. But other things in here like pre-sales analyst, so judging whether or not a consumer is likely to buy or what the patterns are in their likelihood to consume a product. And then you get some of the other ones, business intelligence consultants and solution architects and things, but you can see the kind of the variety, the spectrum, and this is not in any way all-inclusive. The other reason I put this chart up here is because you can see where the salaries are. The lowest salary on that chart is right at $100,000. So this isn't necessarily a field that's in high demand but doesn't pay well. This is a field in high demand that pays pretty good. And some of the charts you can see over there going even higher. I'll show you just how lucrative this profession can be. Depending on the sector, you see data scientists are going to outpace the wages of data analytics, but not by much. In the total, when you're talking $250,000 versus $235,000, that's a pretty good salary, right? So you can see, and these are all different market sizes and things, but in the aggregate, this is a pretty lucrative profession to go into. So if you start with the data and you turn it into information that's usable, and all of a sudden you have knowledge to make good decisions, we as educators like to think that wisdom then comes and follows. So not only are businesses demanding more analytics, but academic institutions are hearing the same call. Why? Because academic institutions exist to provide a workforce. And if the workforce is interested and needs analytic skills, then academic institutions will rise to the call. So you can see since 2012, so just really about 3 years ago, in the United States there were 15 master's level degree programs that had something to do with analytics. And today there's over 85 various degree programs in this field. They're starting to respond to the demand that employers are asking for. Even within colleges and universities, so at my home university, Northeastern, based in Boston, I went on our website and I looked, and we have 6, and I stopped at the graduate level programs. We have 6 different degree programs out of 6 different colleges that are running analytics programs. We have a business analytics program out of the College of Business, an engineering analytics out of the College of Engineering, an urban informatics, which is urban planning and design, out of our social science and humanities, a health informatics, which comes out of our health sciences college and our computer science college, biotechnology coming out of the College of Science, and then data science in the College of Computer Science. So it doesn't matter, back to that slide about being industry agnostic, the colleges are now seeing that. So it doesn't matter if you say I'm a social scientist and that's what I love to do, I want to go into the College of Social Science. There's probably an analytics program within there. So what else, if you don't want to go back for a master's degree, what else are universities doing? Well, not many of them have started to respond to this trend in a more flexible way. I know many of you probably are familiar with boot camps, right? We have a lot of boot camps in the Charlotte area right now. Northeastern decided we would try to be one of the top 50 universities in the country who would offer a boot camp in a high demand area. So we started a program called Level, and it's designed specifically as a leveled program to start at one level and then increase based on your specialization area. We created a 2-month and 8-week full-time intensive boot camp for career changers or people who are underemployed looking to get into new areas, and started focusing on some of the base level knowledge in SQL and R and Tableau and Excel to kind of ramp everyone up to a level playing field. But then we partnered with employers, like those employers who are listed here on the screen, and people like Sarah who work at Grant Thornton and do this on a daily basis, who come into the classroom and share real case studies. How are we using this to inform our business practices? In the financial area, how are we using this to make data-driven decisions? And then we have the students finish with a capstone where they work one-on-one with an employer for a couple weeks to finish out a project. What a great tool for the employer. They just got free labor, educated, trained in data analytics, and the student got an opportunity to connect with an employer. And that's what we're about, is connecting individuals with employers. So we had such success with it this time, we thought we'd do it again, and this time we're going to play around a little bit with some of the format. And so we'll have another summer program coming up this June, and then in the fall we're going to try a combination of online and hybrid, where instead of having to be in a classroom for 8 hours a day for 8 weeks straight, which can get really tiring, we're going to create this in a hybrid model, which is similar to the degree programs we run, where students will come one evening a week and maybe once, one weekend every month, and the rest of it will be online. So it doesn't matter where they are, when they have time to study the material, they can actually participate and increase their skills at the same time. And then we said, now that we've started to explore this, there's probably a couple other markets. You've heard me say the word marketing a lot today, and so we're going to do a 2-week add-on to the initial level certificate for those who want to specialize in marketing. We're going to do a 2-week add-on program for data scientists. We'll probably get to the point where we have a 2-week add-on for healthcare, because that's a great need in our market locally. And then to the point that I made earlier around, this isn't just a role or responsibility of higher education institutions. This is really a necessity in K-12 right now, because that's the future workforce that's going to be coming in. And so we're going to start what we're going to call level 0 and target it for individuals who don't have a bachelor's degree, don't have an associate's degree, no minimum GPA requirement. They can come in and really start bridging the gap between high school and college, even if they're not interested in going on for a degree. So that's the pitch that I have for you. That's the information that I've gleaned on the field of data analytics right now. I'm happy to take questions as long as you send me a softball question, because I've already self-proclaimed I don't have the technical knowledge. And if you are interested in more information, Megan Avalos is here. She works on our team at the campus, which is right at the corner of Trade and Tryon. She brought, I think, some handouts on the level materials if you're interested in talking with us further. But that's what I have, and I'll entertain softball questions. Yes.
I'm going to give you a softball
Good.
question. I'm in the Doctorate of Education program with Northeastern across the street there. But so the softball question is how can we make the current Doctorate of Education program with the effort that you made with the boot camp? So the Doctorate of Education program is somewhat qualitative, and I came into the program as an engineer, so I'm more a quantitative person, and I was wondering how we could expand the Doctorate of Education program a little bit to be a little bit more quantitative.
I think that is a great question for you and I to have offline, since it's so specific, and you are a student there. So I think I'd rather take that question offline if you don't mind. But I'm happy to stick around and we can talk about that.
Okay.
Yeah. Who else? Back.
Are you having trouble getting employers to buy into 20 weeks or whatever, 8 weeks for the boot camp to say, my employee is going to be offline for 8 weeks? Are you having trouble getting people to buy into that?
So the question is, for those on the phone and others who didn't hear it, are we having trouble getting buy-in from employers to let an employee go for 8 weeks and then come in? That's not the target market right now, is existing working professionals. The target market that we've gone into is individuals who are currently out of work and looking to career change. So we're working very collaboratively now with Charlotte Works, where individuals, regardless of your profession, white collar, blue collar profession, can gain access to resources through Charlotte Works and then re-enter the workforce. Where we really partner with employers is in those data sets and in the capstone projects and then in guest lectures. So if any of you work in this space and would be interested, we had a fantastic speaker come in from Data Chambers, who is a very industry agnostic data analytics company. And he came in and spoke to the students on the last day and said, what you just gained now, you can go take anywhere. Don't just look at the logos that are on the screen here. Let me give you a list of all of these other companies that are looking for these skill sets. And so if you're interested in engaging with us in that way, we'd love to have you come in and talk to the students. If you work in an environment where you have large sets of data and you want to provide it to us because it'll help you solve a need and work through projects, we're happy to give that to the students that way. Or if you want a student to work with you one-on-one, we're happy to do that.
On the other side, do you have any issues with companies buying into that the 8 weeks is enough for them to be fully prepared, like that time frame being so short?
Yeah, so the question is, do we have any problem with employers thinking 8 weeks isn't enough? We have not yet. We've run this program in Boston, and then this past few months we ran it simultaneously in Boston, Charlotte, Seattle, and Silicon Valley, because we have campuses in all 4 of those locations. And we had, out in Seattle, we had Amazon and Starbucks, and down in Silicon Valley we had, I think Tesla was working with us. So we have some really good employers who I think are interested in seeing where this will go and want to continue partnering with us and sponsoring this. I think some of the insights we got from this program the last time around was there's an opportunity to specialize a little bit more, and that's why we're considering the 2-week add-on programs for particular fields, because it may be just enough to give you enough to be dangerous and get in the door, but you're going to have to then build some experience around that. Yeah.
What are the requirements for applying for the position?
What are the requirements for applying for the boot camp? You have to have a bachelor's degree at this point, and that's it. And then on our website, there's a whole set of just submit your information there. We're really looking for individuals who have a hunger to learn and a willingness to learn and a flexibility to do that within the construct of the program. But at this point, a bachelor's degree is really the minimum. In any field. Doesn't have to be in a science field.
And you mentioned that right now it's on campus, so it's not online.
It's not online right now. It'll be on campus this summer, starting June 1st, so you get to spend your summer on campus. In the fall, we'll run a 20-week program that'll be a blended online and hybrid.
How many have gone through it?
In total, 48 students. We just started this.
And where are you seeing most of them? In what industries?
It's across the board. We had somebody who was in radio who ended up in sports marketing. We had somebody who was in healthcare who stayed in healthcare. I'm trying to think. We had, I'm trying to remember the backgrounds. Red Ventures. It's really back to it's agnostic because everybody needs it.
And at this point, is it mostly mid-career folks?
It's mid-career folks. I think, so our campus is mid-career. Our average age on campus is 38, and 90% of our students work full-time that are going through our master's program. So they look like all of you in this room. For the level boot camp that we ran, the one difference was they weren't working, but we had students from 22 well into their 50s. Yeah. Any other questions? Very good. Well, Megan, I know will stick around. Oh, okay.
Everything's changing so fast. Is there a component of continuing education, or is the thought that once they're in their career, they'll keep up and they're on their own? Or are you staying connected as a community?
So the question is, what about the continuous lifelong learning and continuing education element? That is exactly why Northeastern came to Charlotte. If I can take myself away from the level boot camp for a moment. When we came to this region almost 5 years ago now, we found that there was a huge in-migration of young professionals, 25 to 44, who were moving to Charlotte with or without jobs because they were coming here for the prosperity that the region afforded. Diversifying industries from energy to healthcare to aviation to logistics and distribution, just across the board, not to mention finance being a huge part of it. But there weren't many institutions here locally who allowed a working professional to go on and continue their professional education without having to give up their day job, quite frankly. So it presented a huge opportunity for us to take an experiential model of learning that was already integrated with work, bring it to a campus in a hybrid format. So all of our students now take classes online and hybrid. It's very quiet during the day, except for our level boot camp students. Most of our students come in the evening once every other week. And occasionally doctoral students come on the weekend. Our average age is 38. And they are doing an additional degree for continuing professional development. And we've set up partnerships with local organizations to maximize their employee tuition reimbursement programs. If they already have a tuition reimbursement, we'll partner with them to extend that. And then we've also worked with companies to say, if you have a need in your organization and you're looking to develop some of your high potential leaders in leadership or something else, we will bring our faculty in and do customized professional development on site for the company. So we do it in a variety of ways. The level program, I would say, is kind of the tip of the iceberg, and it's a way in the door. And if someone would come through our boot camp in the level program, they may say, you know what, I'm interested in going on and pursuing one of those 8 master's degrees in analytics that the university offers, because they're all online and it's easy. I can now get a job and continue my education. So it's really kind of a complement to everything else we're doing for continuous lifelong learning.
What's the cost?
Of the level program is at $79.95 right now for an 8-week program. We do have scholarships available, and they're on a need basis. So we encourage students, when you apply for the program, to apply for scholarships at the same time. And then we also have different scholarships across our master's degree programs, particularly in education and for military. So if you are a veteran and have served the country, we believe very strongly in giving back. And so we have a huge amount of resources for active duty and veteran military as well. Yes?
Are you doing anything to like weave analytics into other programs? Like maybe you don't want to go and get a master's in healthcare analytics, but you're
Right.
there to get an MBA.
Yeah.
You just want to get, how do you just weave it into the general?
It's a great question. The question is, how do you weave analytics into the curriculum? I took a high-level snapshot here and gave you kind of all the analytics degrees, but the reality is all of the coursework is embedded within the curriculum in the College of Business, so it's an elective. It's all embedded in the College of Engineering, so it's an elective. It's all embedded in computer science, so you have the flexibility to take analytics, even if you don't want that to show up on your diploma. Good questions. And I appreciate the softballs. Yeah. Any more?
Is there a certification that you get? Is that...
For the level, yes, you get a certificate from the level program. We are working on, we're not there yet, but we're working on some ability to translate some of those skills into the academic curriculum programs as well. So it kind of gives you a leg up if you decide to go into a full degree. But right now they're separate, it's non-credit, and the degrees are credit bearing.
What are your competitors doing in this space?
Nothing. Our competitors are doing nothing. No. How's that? I'm kidding. You know, I think that slide that I put up there that showed the growth in programs from 15 to 85, it's clear that was only at the graduate level. Our competitors see the need to. The advantage that we have, and I say this because it really is an advantage, we're a private research university, so we have funding and we have the flexibility to move quickly when we see a need in the market. Some of the public funded institutions don't get money for new programs, so they have to wait a little bit longer until they're able to bring those into the market. The community college, I used to work here at CPCC, and it was always a struggle for resources and then a process to go through to get things approved. So we have the ability to be nimble and flexible and to put things to market really quickly, and that's an advantage for us.
Do you have plans to expand the bootcamp model to other areas?
It's a great question. Do we have plans to expand the bootcamp model? Well, geographically, we did. We started it in Boston, and then in January, we ran it in Charlotte, Seattle, and Silicon Valley. So that was an expansion geographically. We're not in Denver yet, but maybe we'll get you a program out there. Maybe we'll do that online. For other areas, I think this is a really good opportunity for the university to look at the model and say, what other areas might this be appropriate in? We're a traditional private research university. We want to be kind of in our hedgehog concept going towards quality academics. We don't want to play in this space of a lot of startup boot camps that are, in and out from year to year. We really want to find a niche where we can add value and have sustainability for the long term. And so I think that's why this fit. When you think about all of the data in those slides, this was a real easy place for us to start. I think back to my answer to your question about being nimble and flexible, I can't predict where we're going to go next and what other kind of boot camps we'll bring up, but I imagine we'll probably do a few.
So you haven't taken the class?
I have not taken the class. How's that?
Can you go maybe one level deeper on all the different topics you cover as part of the level program? Programs like, data science covers so many things like statistics, and visualization, and tools, and technologies.
I can hold my breath and go underwater and then pop back up. How's that? So the four main areas of focus are SQL, R, Tableau, and Excel. Those are the four areas that we really focus on.
So mostly tools then?
Mm-hmm. Not in the data science, really more in the analytics, space. For those of you who don't have anything better to do, on Saturday, April 30th, there is a wine and food festival happening in Uptown, so there's a good reason to be uptown anyway. Would invite you to stop by our campus right over here at Trade and Tryon. We're snug between the Marriott and the Starbucks, so you have a good landmark there. We're having a graduate open house from 10 to 1 on Saturday, and we would invite you to come in, learn more about Level, learn more about any one of the other 35 graduate degree programs or certificates we have, or just take a tour of the campus and see some of the cool swanky space. So, yes?
So the follow-up piece. Can you use the tools without having a deeper understanding of statistics?
The course is taught by a gentleman who has a PhD in statistics and mathematics. So he gives you enough contextual framework and background in stats to allow you to then utilize the tools. But it's really about an applied program. If you want to get a PhD in statistics, I would not recommend this program. If you want to go into one of the career fields and one of the positions that I listed, then I would recommend it. All right. Thank you. Thank you for having me.